When Peter Parker is forced to go it alone, will it change his perspective on being a superhero? Well, let's hop into the pages of Ultimate Comics issue number 11 and find out what happens next, shall we? So then, as we join the book proper, we see that Spider-Man has actually been stood up on his latest superhero stakeout by Green Goblin. No doubt Harry Osborn is still in something of a crisis of faith following some major revelations at the end of the last issue. This is actually a pretty interesting character beat here, as the book essentially reminds us that up until now, Spider-Man really hasn't had to be Spider-Man on his own for very long, as he's always had the Green Goblin backing him up. Pete tries to hunt down Harry, even going as far as Star 69ing Otto Octavius to see if he's seen him, even though it's made abundantly clear that Peter doesn't actually like Otto that much and thinks he's a huge creep. The man who would be Octopus hasn't seen Harry either, meaning that when the bank across the street gets robbed, it looks like it's time for Spider-Man to finally break out on his own as a solo act. These aren't your regular run-of-the-mill robbers either, these are inner demons working for Mr. Negative of the Sinister Six. In another wonderful, subtle way, the book shows growth. Spider-Man is actually able to handle all of these specialized goons all on his own, and pretty easily, a far cry from in the beginning when he was getting sucker punched by Shocker. Though admittedly, at least one woman who got taken hostage in the bank isn't exactly a huge fan of Peter's wisecracking, flippant attitude to crime fighting. Now, just when it looks like the goons are all wrapped up, Mr. Negative himself ends up making the scene and introducing himself to Spider-Man. And I gotta say, they do a good job here with Martin Lee too, showcasing that he's had his powers for way longer than anyone else associated with the whole Stark-Stain connection. And they really show that he's a force to be reckoned with right out of the gate, as he uses his amazing mental powers to bring out the darker side of everyone in the bank, turning the hostages that Spider-Man was trying to save into a mindless mob that want to tear him apart piece by piece, the worst part being that Spider-Man can't actually hit them even to try and defend himself in this situation. Negative and his inner demons end up slinking away, and poor Peter is forced to come home in the dead of night looking like he's been through a meat grinder to find Mary Jane already waiting for him. All of this actually ends up spurring on a very mature, very adult conversation between the married couple right here. Mary Jane says that she's been pretty damn cool about the whole superhero thing thus far. But now that it's clear that Spider-Man is facing deadlier foes, she's beginning to worry about her safety and the safety of the children. She still loves Peter and trusts him with all of her heart, but at the same time, she has to ask, when do I get worried in this situation? Peter says, you know what, for what it's worth, if I tell you to run, that means you really should. Until then, though, even though he looks like crap, he still very much feels like he has this situation under control, and hey, because the kids aren't around right now, they think to themselves, hey, should we maybe fool around a little bit, only for Peter to remember he has a very important meeting with Ben that he simply just has to keep. In fact, he's going to be meeting Harry there too at the same place. Apparently he has big news that he can't possibly share over the phone, which is always a terrible omen if you know stories. Now it's after that we transition back on over to the Secret Six. The others are really reading Martin Lee the Riot Act right now, saying, what the hell, man, you had Spider-Man alone, you had him at your mercy, why did you just let him go? Negative basically says that this is all a dance, a feeling out process, and that he really did need to cover his escape to fight another day. Furthermore, when they ask him why he didn't use his amazing mental powers on Spider-Man, he reveals that his powers only work on the weak-minded, and those with strong wills are unaffected. Case in point, everyone else at the Sinister Six table right now, which is actually more like the Sinister Five. After poor Walter Hardy got himself thrown off a building, oh, don't worry, he's not dead, though he is crippled, and he makes a play to try and protect all of his territory and his place at the table by introducing his compatriots to his daughter and replacement as Black Cat, Felicia Hardy. I find it funny that she's all over the cover of this issue and that this is literally her only scene and she doesn't even get a line. Hey, it might be the Ultimate Universe, but some of the old comic book tricks never fall out of style, am I right? It's after that we see Peter is actually meeting his Uncle Ben at the special memorial for all those who died during the Maker's attack on Stark-Stain, including Harry's parents and of course Aunt May. Ben says that his aunt would be really proud of everything that Peter's been doing recently. Peter jumps to the conclusion that he's talking about all the pictures he's been taking for the paper project, only for Ben to reveal that the real reason he called Peter here tonight is that he figured out that he was Spider-Man. Well, in reality, he figured out that Harry was the Green Goblin, and from there it was all just simple extrapolation. They also end up having a very frank and serious discussion about how many people know about his double life as a superhero and how they should probably nip that in the bud moving forward. Also, Jonah doesn't know yet, but Ben assumes that he's a good enough journalist that he'll probably figure it out if given enough time. Also, in a series where we we've yet to have the official "with great power comes great responsibility" speech, Ben ends up imparting onto his nephew another really great nugget of wisdom. He talks about how he lived a long and happy life with the woman he loved and how he wouldn't trade it for anything, and should he die tomorrow, he would leave the world with no regrets, but can Peter really say the same? And if so, why not? And it's on that note right there the comic comes to a close, everybody, and so that was Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 11, and once again, I really enjoyed this issue. If I had to sum up this issue in one word, it would be subtle. Subtle growth, subtle characterization, but it all builds on itself in a really meaningful, really compelling way and ends up delivering one hell of an enjoyable story. Again, I love in this new Ultimate Universe, Peter is so much more open with his secret identity with everyone. But now that the shit's getting real and now that he's forced to do some stuff on his own for the first time, it's becoming clear that maybe that's not a good idea, or at the very least it comes with its own dangers that he'll have to deal with. They've also been doing a great job building the relationship between Harry and Peter, making them friends like they were in the 616 universe, but completely changing the context of that friendship, and you just know it's only a matter of time before it completely blows up in their faces, and when it does, I think it's going to end up hitting that much harder. Especially as their crime-fighting careers have been so very much entwined since all of this began. I guess my only minor problem, and it is a minor problem, is that we didn't actually get to learn much about the new Black Cat in this issue, despite the fact that she is all over the cover. But I am certainly intrigued to see what they could do next with her. I like this idea of her being a Johnny-come-lately to the Sinister Six who joined mainly just to protect her father's territory and seek revenge on the Goblin and Spider-Man. Overall, I think I feel comfortable giving this one an 8.5 out of 10. Maybe not as good as the issue that preceded it, but still really damn good and still probably some of the best Spider-Man stories on the shelf right now. Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers, a lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest, that's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow and, help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.